こんにちは。ガブガブガブガブガブガブガブッと。
Eight teams, 3 spots, let's get going. First, if you look at the bracket, you might notice that something's missing. Yeah, no pulling punches, EDG sucked this stage. I still can't believe they lost to JDG, but to give some cope, they did qualify for champs very early. They had an extremely brutal schedule. Smoggy had surgery. Essentially, there's just a lot of reasons for them to look bad. Hopefully the time off will get them right, because if it doesn't and they show up to Shanghai looking like this, I think Kankan's about to go after one of Ozboss's records. Of course, that's not gonna happen because they just picked up Stu. Nova was one of my 2 wildcard teams coming into stage 2, and man did they go off. The return of 24K could not have gone any better. When he's coaching Nova, they're a good team. Swagster was cooking all stage. Like, he's just insane. Guandri was great. CB and Quentin, now that they're on roles that they're more comfortable on, performed really well. And his year came online at the end to take him over the top. But Nova wasn't just 5 players going on a tear. They were playing the best Valorant in the region. What I really liked was how they controlled space. First, on offense, Nova was very good about layering their util and filling in the space that it made. I know you're probably saying that's basic, but like in China, there are so many teams that just throw util to the wind and do nothing with it. Like you can see on their execs, the util goes out, and all of a sudden, here comes Swagster. And this works super well in China because a lot of teams are stubborn and they fight on point, meaning they would just get barraged by util and lasered down by Swagster. But on the defensive side, they're so good about pushing to clear space. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention some causes for concern. First, I cannot understate just how good this team's individual farm was. Even when they were in an unfavorable duel, it felt like they would almost always win them. I think this covered up another kind of issue I had for this team. That is, on attack, it feels like they only have one plan. Basically, wherever the spike goes at the start, that is almost certainly where they're headed. I saw numerous times where they bulldozed into a heavily stacked site, end up at a man disadvantage, and then count on hero plays to get the round win. I don't know if that's a consistent strategy you can count on. Now to everyone's favorite team, BLG. The keen-eyed among you might have noticed that they were on the receiving end of that beatdown that Nova gave. But bad ending aside, BLG had a great stage. While Hashang and Neff were great as always, but the player I really want to highlight is K-Knight. His play was such a difference maker for BLG this stage. I'll admit, I was worried when I saw him walk in Cypher for Summit, but he played extremely well. FD was a bit hot and cold. I'm not entirely sold on him as a 5th man, but at this point, I'm just gonna believe. I feel like Russia showed some pretty impressive flexibility on Neon, when he wasn't just feeding face. Unfortunately, that problem isn't just limited to Russia. Which when you see, makes it pretty hard to argue that an X has improved this team's micro. I think their macro has improved quite a bit, and their team comps are so much better. They just need to get out of their own way long enough to make champs. XLG had a kinda bad stage.
XLG 的自信了，他们现在好像没有除了1.6，你想要1.6提速，面对这个奥丁，面对这把狙，面对。
Honestly, there's not much to look into here. They played a lot of games, they got a bit burnt out, and it got sloppy. I'll say the good news is in their games versus Wolves and Tyloo, they looked a lot like their old selves. All in all, I really do have a hard time imagining this team finishing anywhere below 4th, so I think they'll be at champs. And the last of the teams to make it straight to playoffs, Tyloo. They had a rough ending, losing a very close game to Nova. But still, they had a fantastic stage. Their offense underneath the calling of Sufat Baby looks incredible, partially because Sufat Baby and Sully went on a bit of a tear this stage. But there's more than just that. Like, this team is still aggressive behind their spearhead Splash. But now that aggression feels far less one note, with a lot more depth behind it. In this round versus EDG, we see Slowly, VP up on top of a box. ERV and Splash get scanned by a recon dart, which baits Kankan out. Slowly, who dodged the dart, gets a free kill on Kankan because he's not even looking at him. At this point, Sufat Baby calls a rotate over to the B site. They have Slowly insert up mid to try and catch the EDG while they're rotating, which he does, which puts him in a 2v4 which Tyloo converts for the win. Mistakes still happen, but this team is very clearly much improved. At least on the offensive side. On the defensive side, I am less convinced, but it's not enough to dampen my hype for Tyloo. Tech was my 2nd wildcard team going into stage 2, and I am kind of shocked they made it. First things first, Rainy, insane. When I first saw the call-up, I was kind of confused because I didn't think he was really an improvement over their current duelist lineups. And boy was I wrong, he was a bona fide star in the play-in tournament. In addition, the whole team was just hitting some crazy shots. Just round after round that should be lost is somehow clawed back into victory. I still don't know if they can make top 2, that feels like way too much of a stretch, but they are by far the scariest dark horse in this tournament. AG might be in trouble. To start with the positives, Fangir has been playing exceptionally well. Kira and GRQ have both been doing what they need to do. The problems kinda come with Bai and Shrimp. Bai overall, I just don't think has been able to find the value that AU1 was getting. For Shrimp, in kickoff, he was the best initiator in the region. And since he's not been bad, but he hasn't been great, and that's what AG needs him to be. Alright, the last two teams are Trace and JDG. At the start of the stage, I definitely didn't think either one of these teams was going to be here. And after watching them play each other...
Walk over towards B, but... Ooh, okay, never mind. Lao King just looks him straight in the eye and goes down, and that should be a spike plant.
Is spike plant possible if Kai is too late from LA and he only has the Outlaw ultimate in play, but Spike's still down?
What are you doing? Kai dashes in, gets one tap! Ground feature!
My thoughts have not changed. First, Trace. Trace's weapons grade rage bait because their offense is terrible. This team almost threw away a playoff spot just inting into Fukushu over and over again. And the attack sides they win are often in the stupidest ways possible.
His first frag towards marking, but he has his support waiting in the wings. Keep picking up two more, but Fang again. Wreaking havoc. Jay slides in. He is still the player to rely on. 17 HP. Fang turning away from the flash, picking up another one. This is impossible. The Sheriff Ace.
This team is so lucky that DRG's offense was somehow worse than theirs. Because if not for that, even with Delby's Herculean effort, I don't think they would have made it. J. Kuro Diphthong. I have no idea what to make of this team. This team is the most Chinese Valorant that China has ever Valoranted. They have rounds like this where they have an all with clear thought and intent behind it. And then they have rounds where they feed into an ego and just lose. I was supposed to have like another anime edit in here. Unfortunately, I got copyright blocked. So instead, I have my China Champs picks, represented by R34 of their best players, Best Agent, XLG, Tylo, EDG, and BLG. So anyways, thanks for watching, love y'all, and subscribe if you want.